But we are here today with Colin Pape. He is the CEO of Presearch. And Presearch, for those of you who don't know, is basically like a search engine alternative to the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is Google. And I guess, before we get started, I want to go over some of the business side of things. Last time we had an interview was with the CEO of Minds.com, Bill Ottman, mentioned that I was going to be giving away some tokens. And so we're going to be doing that at the end. So you guys still have time right now to get in. The number is down below. It's the number you're going to want to text is 71441. And then you're going to text World Alternative Media, no spaces. So that's very key, no spaces, World Alternative Media, 71441. And just to let you guys in, only 5 people registered last time. And I'm going to give away, there's going to be 5 winners right now. So every single person who signed up, they're going to win. But we'll have one person, we'll give away 50 tokens, that's 50,000 impressions, and then we'll give away 4. We'll give away 10 tokens a piece, so that you'll be hooked up with some impressions as well. But so all in all, 100 Minds tokens given away. You guys can still get in on that right now, because like I said, right now, if no one else gets in on it, the other 5 people, congratulations, you guys are all winners. And then this will also then enter you into other raffles that we're going to have. Maybe we can twist Colin's arm, maybe to throw in some Presearch tokens, maybe for the follow-up that we do next week, or it might actually be like a week and a half from now, because I'm going to Florida for a week. So I'm not going to, make any promises that I'm going to come out with a live stream next week in case somebody's going to hold me to the fire on that one. We're also going to have Sterlin Lujan is coming up as well from Bitcoin. He was a former ambassador to Bitcoin.com. But I guess a good place to start. And I got one more thing. We've got different conferences coming up. So we've got Anarcho Vegas coming up. That you guys definitely want to check out. That's going to be in July. We've got promo code WHAM for that. Or if you want to help me out, promo code Liberty Advisor. Also got Red Pill coming up. That's I think it's in like a week or 2 up in Hartford, Connecticut. Also promo code WHAM. John Snyson's Winnipeg Crypto Conference coming up in October. And then we've got other links to things down below. So please support the channel. And the reason why I'm pimping early right now is because we're only being shown to like about 1% of our viewers. Then out of that 1%, maybe only 10% stays around to the end. So if you guys don't like me doing some of this now, then you guys can just either fast forward it in the future, because that's how I do things. Or you can go watch us over at BitChute where there's no ads. Because people always complain like, oh, I don't like how there's so many ads. Well, Josh, likes to eat. He likes doing other things. So, it's a way to help support him. But you guys can watch this over at BitChute. Other ways to do things. Another way to do things is to stop using Google. So I've been using Presearch now for probably about a month and a half. Really enjoying the experience. But first, let's welcome Colin Pape to the show. And then I want to hear, how basically you stumbled upon, trying to take down the behemoth known as Google.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate the opportunity and get to connect with everybody watching. So Presearch kind of stemmed from a run-in that we had with Google back in 2011. And we actually kind of had a couple of other ones before that, but not quite as direct. I mean, anybody who's really in the internet marketing space, anybody who's really in the information space, starts to realize just how influential and powerful Google is. It controls 80% of the traffic in many industries. More than 90% of web searches are done through Google, and so we had kind of had just the typical Google treatment over the years with our sister company, ShopCity.com. And hey, Sterlin.
Hey
Sterlin.
How's it going?
Good. We were just taking care of some of the business side of things, so we didn't really miss too much at all. Now Colin's just giving us his experience in terms of how he's going on to fight the behemoth known as Google.
Yes. Awesome.
Cool.
Sounds like I came in at the right time of the party, gentlemen.
Always.
And you have to excuse my audio. I'm not at a usual location that I'm at, so it might be kind of rough. We'll see.
Is there a usual location for you? I thought the usual location is you're jet setting all around the world, or going
everywhere,
or you're at Washington D.C. Politico events with the IMF heads, and you're giving the anarchist perspective to all these world leaders and Angela Merkel and people like that. So you never know where you're going to find Sterlin.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I'll tell the story later of that IMF experience. It ended up very badly, mainly because just me telling my story, not even really getting into arguments with people, but it got pretty brutal because someone got really offended that I simply said that I had taken MDMA and got arrested and was selling it. And because I told this to some high level banker, and then they all got incensed at the story. So it got pretty ugly for a little while. But anyway, it's kind of a long story.
And then meanwhile, like the HSBC guys, like, we're the ones who are laundering that drug money to begin with, from the Sinaloa cartel or somewhere. So who knows?
100%, Tim. 100%.
But yeah, let's get back to Colin. So he was, with shopcity.com, and then they were screwing him over there. And then so, this is a long train in history of probably getting screwed by Google. And so if you want to continue the story.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah. So, I mean, they control the space. Anybody who's publishing online, anybody who's really doing much of anything online is really kind of at their mercy. And we first saw it in 2009 with some penalties that they had applied to our site so that they wouldn't rank as well. And, we kind of pivoted our plans and tried to just, figure out a way around it. But in 2011, they fully penalized our network of sites to the point where, a site that had been around for more than a decade, if you search for it by name on Google, it would show up on page 8 of the search results. And overnight, our traffic, dropped 90%. Almost all of our search traffic went away. And we started just really looking at, how can we get this resolved? We weren't trying to game the system at all. We weren't even really doing search engine optimization. We were just doing what they had said was kind of their best practice, build for the user, have quality content, and the organic search placement will follow. So that was really kind of the model that we were going on. And so it just seemed really kind of backwards that our sites would start getting penalized. And so we were kind of in the fortunate position, after trying for weeks to really kind of get through the firewall that surrounds Google. There's no way to contact them. There was really no way just to get a resolution through even, the webmaster forums. Everybody basically just assumes that you are trying to game the system and Google's always perfect. And so kind of from that experience, we ended up connecting with a lawyer, a guy named Gary Reback, and he was working with the FTC doing an antitrust investigation. And he was the lawyer who had Microsoft broken up when they had Windows and Internet Explorer back in the late 90s with dominant market share. And so, we were partnered with some city governments, actually right in Google's backyard. So we were working with the city of Palo Alto and the Chamber of Commerce and the local newspaper, the Palo Alto Weekly, and the Mountain View Voice, and all these different organizations that were doing, Shop Palo Alto campaigns or Shop Mountain View campaigns. And so when Google shut us down, they also shut down basically the city government and the Chamber of Commerce and all these local entities that had some sway. And we were able to basically get press coverage out of that in San Jose Mercury News. It ended up going into Bloomberg and Associated Press and a bunch of other outlets. But through that, we were able to get an actual contact at Google, and we were able to, kind of get them to slowly, give us some resolution. But through this process, we uncovered like thousands and thousands of, small businesses and moms and pops, and they had basically had the same thing happen to them. They didn't have the same luck or resources that we did, and they would end up, laying people off or shutting down completely. And so it just kind of really was an eye-opener just to see the impact. And one of the big things that Gary was focusing on at the same time as this was happening, Google was launching something that to us seemed very competitive. It was called Get Your City Online. And it was a campaign where they were approaching chambers of commerce and all these things. And they were a member of the Mountain View Chamber of Commerce, so they knew about shopmountainview.com. And so we just started thinking, man, are they, trying to take us out? And Gary, his term for it was, killing companies in the cradle. So before they could get big enough, they would basically just, apply the brakes and make it really hard for the project to grow. And so, there's the direct impact of, them kind of dominating the market space. But then there's also
you can sort of like envision some like nerd just sitting back there like, should we buy these guys out or should we just crush them? Like, all right, let's just crush them. All right, press a button.
Yeah.
Blacklist them off the internet.
Pretty much, man. And I mean, they're doing it. Like, we're seeing it all the time with Facebook and YouTube.
Actually, we've got one of the thought criminals right here, Sterlin Lujan, who was actually part of the initial purge of what was about 800 accounts for the psychological anarchist page that you were running. And all my experience with you are, I mean, I've never seen you really swear or raise your voice. Very, basically the opposite of me on a lot of things, which, part of me is like, damn it, like, what do I need to do to get kicked off of Facebook? So we've got, when you get guys like, Sterlin being kicked off who's not, supporting either one of the systems, the left party or the right party, which are basically both the same party, very anti-war. And I think that was one of the big underlining themes with a lot of these people that were kicked off were anti-war. And so now you're getting people that just because they have an unpopular opinion are kicked off. And so sorry to jump in there with that, but it's not too fitting that we've got a perfect example right here of somebody who has been kicked off Facebook. And that's why I'm promoting things like I'm live right now. Sterling wasn't here in the beginning. We're live right now on DLive. And so people are always saying, why don't you get off YouTube, or why don't we wish there was an alternative? Well, I wish people would use the alternative. I posted this link out to minds.com before I was on here. And then when I go on to Facebook, it says, hey, this could be, an unsecure site. Like, bullshit. Facebook's like the most insecure site there is. And they're worried about minds.com. They're worried about, pretty soon they'll probably be worried about Presearch, or, it's crazy. So everyone just do a tiny, tiny part every single day, whether it's, if you're spending an hour on Facebook a day, spend 2 minutes somewhere else. And then eventually, if everyone spends 2 minutes here, then eventually all of our friends will be at one of these other places. And we can help, wean everybody off of Facebook. And I'm just as guilty as anybody. And I'll be the first one to admit that.
Yeah, it's tough when they've got the network effects. I mean, it's the same as, dominating the search landscape. It's like, it's challenging. You kind of have to be where the eyeballs are and the attention is if you want to be, able to kind of reach an audience and be viable. And it is a shame. But yeah, what you're doing right now by promoting these different platforms, using them, helping spread the word about them. I mean, totally appreciate you having me on and us being able to, connect with your audience across these various platforms. But I mean, it's super important. If we don't want a future that is dominated by a handful of centralized entities that are known to collaborate with, the NSA and all these different organizations that really have no accountability to anybody, then we need to start, not just developing alternatives, but using them. So this is. And
just the other day, I had somebody like, how come you guys aren't covering the Operation Hammer that was released by the NSA? I'm like, how come I'm not like, I've been fucking covering the NSA and Bill Benny and all this shit for so long that I don't even care about this anymore. Like, a revelation came out that the NSA was spying on us. Oh my God. Like, I need to go drop everything to get like every little kernel of every little detail that happened. And so I'm so beyond like all this regular politics and what's going on every day. Cause I'm like, all right, like, great. I'm glad that at least now with Trump getting elected, people are now finally starting to wake up to like, wow, they can, regardless of your opinion on him, people are like, wow, they can, wiretap the president and maybe they can do it to my guy, or they can do it to me. So at least, there's some more people waking up to this, but, I think, like all of us, we're so far beyond this of like, oh man, like, yeah, it's not breaking news that the NSA is spying on you and that they're, using your data against you. And even things like Google, like, isn't Google, like, if let's say you're searching from like a rich area, then maybe you might get like a flight search. Like if you're trying to, buy a flight or something that might be a little more expensive than if you're in a poor area, or they can play off like your results against each other to say, hey, we know that you were looking at Louis Vuittons and all this expensive stuff. And so we're going to now, have the price be, 2% higher on this good versus, Bob down the street who's, who's searching for Coach or something, so who knows? but yeah, what is the average person out there who's like, I've got nothing to hide. I don't care. Why should I be concerned about Google? So can you kind of get into like why maybe the average everyday person out there should be concerned about what's going on with their search results?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it for the average person, it is more about, these filter bubbles and about, the tracking that goes on with retargeting and there's just the general creepiness factor has reached the mainstream. People talking about something and then all of a sudden all these ads are following them around for the same thing. It's kind of hitting this point where people are starting to realize that this is not just, these kind of single access point systems. They're all connected, and there are all these, unintended or unknown consequences. And it does, start to feel creepy. I don't have anything to hide. I don't think a lot of people have anything to hide, but it's still, just this kind of thought about, well, what if it's not even them? What if it fell into the wrong hands? And even just the way that we're all so liberal with our usage of social media. And
or just look at right now. Isn't like the city of Baltimore and like this huge hack attack and that basically tools got out from the NSA tools are the ones that are being used to hack. So not only is it not, actually, making us more secure, it's making us more insecure because now all the tools have been leaked out. And so now we got all these different state actors and governments. And a lot of times it's the governments running false flags. I forgot, this isn't my main area of expertise, but I think there wasn't, there was some like nuclear reactor thing going on somewhere where it was basically, it was like the intelligence agencies that put it in there. So then that way they could say, hey, well, now we need our budget to get 10 times bigger so we can go put out the fire that we created, that we lit to begin with.
Well, that's it. The way that the powers that be operate.
Stuxnet. That's what it's called, the Stuxnet virus. I couldn't think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's problem reaction solution. That's the Machiavellian way. That's just how those who are in power preserve and increase their power. And if we're not holding them accountable, then that sets the precedent, and they realize that they can get away with things, and then it just the limits, the boundaries get pushed and pushed. Till we kind of reach these points where, there's really no actual accountability. There is actually no security. We've really never been more insecure as a global populace. We have these, military industrial complexes that have, weapons that we can't even fathom. You've got this, totally integrated financial system that is a house of cards. Everything is built on derivatives and all these financial instruments that don't even exist. You've got the mass media, which now has become really the tech powerhouses. You've got your Google, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, and so we have no tolerances. There's no resilience left in the system. It used to be, we at least were kind of somewhat locally independent. You had, these, regulations supposedly that, protected the concentration of media power. There was,
it's always like the fox guard in the hen house where, the people who are in charge of it, like, oh, let's have a former Monsanto person being the head of the FDA, or let's have, the former, Goldman Sachs CEO to be the head of the Treasury Secretary when it was Hank Paulson, or let's have the former New York Fed head, I forgot the guy's name, Tim Geithner. Oh, let's have him, be the Treasury Secretary. So this whole incestuous relationship. And then with the media, you've got things like, Operation Mockingbird, where the CIA is in there having all their, stooges, lined up, and even people like Anderson Cooper. This guy, was CIA. Then you see him out here with the 60 Minutes thing. I'm just wondering, like, what the angle is with this, because it was a pretty fair piece when they had the 60 Minutes Bitcoin piece, not to get off on a track, but you see with all this stuff where they're coming with like AI, and it's going to be at the point where we either stop this now or this doesn't get stopped. So it's sort of like, the congressmen that want to ban Bitcoin, like, oh yeah, you guys are 10 years too late on that one. But, with the people that want to ban this tech stuff, it's like, I'm not really saying ban might not be a word, but, if people, you got to vote with their wallets. And so if people, aren't buying this stuff, then it won't come to fruition. And then once you see like 5G, how it's just going to basically, completely like encapsulate everybody, and all of our data is going to be going everywhere instantaneously, and everything's going to be hooked up to this 5G network. I think, we're going to wish that we were only as track, trace, and surveilled as we are right now. Talk about like the general and sounds like we got a dog fight going on, or hopefully it's not my dogs, but no.
Yeah.
Cool. But where do you see like 5G coming into play with all this stuff too? Because once everybody's instantly connected and they're getting speeds of, I don't know what type of speeds are you even talking about with 5G, like 10 gigabyte downloads or something.
Yeah,
like
it's in the gigabytes, and it's just it's that persistent just connection everywhere. I mean, we kind of face basically like two futures. There's either the dystopian future, or there's potentially a really awesome future that we could bring about if we can realize some of the things that people like Sterlin are talking about, where we can try to become kind of more integrated and responsible humans, and leverage the technology to connect and support those who are sharing visions similar to ours. But the dystopian one it's pretty frightening. And just when I first started going down the rabbit hole, more than a decade ago, the ultimate, it's bizarre that there are these prophecies and whatnot. I mean, I've never really gotten too into that side of things, but that people will not be able to buy or sell or basically trade without the approval of the governors of the system, and some call it the mark of the beast. I mean, like we're so close to that, it's ridiculous. And places like China, with the social credit system that now completely controls every aspect of their lives, I mean, they are living it. They are the real world examples, and this is 2019.
All built mainly all built by American tech companies too. Whether it's Google, or those were kind of been the main focal point of this, or Cisco and all these other companies that provided the whole infrastructure. I'm sure Microsoft, had a part in this too. And what was the last number I saw? It was something ridiculous. I think when I first saw it rolled out, there was like 600,000 people were blacklisted. Now it's like 10 million people or something, aren't allowed to travel, and that's only after it's only been rolled out for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And so just think of, basically every single person we know would be on the list. I mean, I don't know, if you're not on the list and somehow I know you, then maybe somebody snuck through. But in terms of, but that's also what they're doing. There's mapping on our networks too. So they're saying, that you're talking with this guy, and he's a freedom guy talking to this other guy. And now they try to map out our whole networks. And so, and I guess you also have, this Facebook global coin, what a joke that is, where they're going to integrate, this payment system probably with a social credit score, or they're going to be like, you posted this meme that offended this person, so now you're not allowed to use your global coin for 30 days, or, some crap like that. And the people will then self-censor themselves. And so a lot of times I could go, probably shouldn't do this, but, try to even offend people even more just to break them out of their shell. Because I just see this whole war on what we're allowed to say, war on everything. I mean, you can't even make an okay symbol anymore. I mean, this whole world that is just complete lunacy. And basically 1984 is just, a couple decades too late, and that we're rapidly approaching this point where we're going to be checkmated unless people like yourselves who, thank you for creating this type of technology. But can you kind of get into maybe like the actual technology of what you guys are utilizing, and maybe how people can start, using Presearch? Because Ernie, as we both know, Ernest Hancock he said it was very grandma dust button, as he liked to call it. So I believe, what does he go to presearch or is it presearch.org?
Yep.
And basically you can download a little extension onto your browser, so you could even use it in Chrome. I would recommend it. I'd recommend probably Brave browser with maybe using DuckDuckGo. But if you want to just get your toes wet, people can. Just so you know, I'm not shilling this. I only own like maybe 80 Presearch that I got from searching the past month. I'm not looking for some pump and dump. So I am a financial advisor, but I'm showcasing you guys, not for the investment advice. Right now, this is like letting people know what the tech that's out there, because I'm sure the trolls are going to be in the comments of, how come you guys are always talking about crypto? And really, it's because crypto can help free ourselves to get us to this other world that we want to get into. And just because it's got a scary name like crypto, it's going to be two worlds. One world is going to be the crypto is going to be used to, take us over by Mark of the Beast type system, or the crypto is going to be more of, I guess, what Sterlin represents, more of the privacy, anonymity, not being tracked, traced, surveilled crypto. And, we've got whole episodes on Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV versus Bitcoin, if you guys want to delve into those, because I don't want to have to be a big debate about that, although it is super, super important. And because I see a lot of people are going to go say, oh, that Facebook coin looking pretty good. And people will go over there just like they go over to Ripple, just like they go over to all these other places. But let people know, exactly what they can get from Presearch versus, if they are using Google right now for their search.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the project. So you can go to presearch.org, create an account. It's free, and basically, as you search, you earn pre-tokens, which are the cryptocurrency that powers the ecosystem. And so, similar to mines, basically, those tokens can be utilized within the advertising system. And so, as you search, you accumulate tokens. You can use them, for your own project, or you could, sell them to an advertiser who would utilize them throughout the system. And it's basically, it's like a multi-search engine tool. We're trying to kind of create a level playing field, or more like a Switzerland of search, basically. So like where you are right now. So if you click there's a gear icon below that. You can see all the different providers that we have in the system right now. And just above, that guy. And then providers just in the top left of that little window. And so this is where you can basically customize which ones you want to use. So actually, if you search for Presearch engine, you'll see we've got our own engine in addition to, so you just hit it, and then it'll go up to the top. If you want it to be your default, you drag it all the way over to the left, and then when you search, that's who it would use by default.
Now, what's the difference between Presearch and Presearch engine? Now, this brings you to the homepage, or
the Presearch one basically takes you to a page that has like all the providers. So it's a way to redirect your query into any of the different services.
Gotcha.
And then the actual engine one, like if you click just on the Presearch logo in the top left corner, and then just do a search for Bitcoin or whatever. There you go. So that just shows that you've earned your token, and then it's going to redirect you.
It worked. Boom.
Yeah. Boom. There you go. We're kind of, it's a multi-stage project. I mean, we're kind of in the infancy. This is, it's a pretty ambitious and long-term project to build a fully decentralized search engine, something that, will perform as well as traditional centralized search engines. And I
love that I can't even see that I'm live right now on our own like World Alternative Media page. So always jacking with her stuff. Even though, look at this. I'm literally on the page, and you cannot even see where it would be live. Who knows? Maybe I did something, or maybe the lizard people are trying to get us. Who knows what's going on? But always.
I have some thoughts on this matter too. If we back up a little bit as well, one of the things with Google is, and this is from my own experience, I just recently really got into using Presearch more often. But one of the problems is people get habituated to using Google, right? So that it's like all they know in terms of they get on their browser, they do a search, they naturally, automatically, as if they were in a trance, go to Google and use it. I was doing the same thing too, just out of habit. And finally, thank goodness, Colin and these guys created that extension, because that extension broke me of that habit. I got the extension going. Now my browser automatically goes to Presearch. So now I'm thinking, now I can use this framework. I can use this Switzerland of search, as he called it, and search for everything that I want to. And that's, on a higher level, this is ultimately what we're trying to do anyway. In order to move society in a new direction and to expand the concept of decentralization, we have to break down people's habits. People naturally have a tendency to embrace the status quo because that's what it's a matter of. It's a matter of people getting used to doing certain things over and over and over again.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I was just highlighting up there, like in the right-hand corner, people could see that it was an extension. And so it's on, all the main browsers people are going to have, whether it's, Brave browser, which I recommend. We've got referral links down below for Brave and for Presearch, whether it's, I guess, Firefox would probably be the next, probably preferred one. And then, if you've got to still, use Google or Safari, I guess you could do that too, just be a little bit better way. But what are you guys doing with the data versus, let's say, a Google? So what kind of sets you guys apart from what they're doing?
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely a huge difference there. I mean, Google is collecting tons of information, and really you've got to opt out of it. And I mean, there's too much to cover in this show, but if you Presearch, you can look at show my Google data. You'll find different ways that you can go in and see your history, and in some cases it's pretty shocking, like with Google Maps in particular, your Google location history is insane. So they're basically collecting everything. They own DoubleClick, which is one of the biggest advertising platforms out there. And then that kind of integrates in through these retargeting companies into all these other different databases. And so, with us, we are not collecting anything. We don't save your search terms. Basically, the only thing that's getting saved is your email address, your password, which is hashed and secured using industry best practices. And then with the search rewards, I mean, it shows basically.
So hash, for the person who might not know, hash means basically like you guys aren't actually getting it. You're getting this gobbledygook thing that, until they get basically, unless they put in the password, you're not seeing what the password is going to be. So
that's right. We can't see the password. And, if like the database got compromised or something somehow, I mean, it would basically just be a whole bunch of gibberish. So, but yeah, so I mean, there's really nothing, and if you don't want to earn the search rewards like the tokens, you can actually just go direct to engine.presearch.org, and then that's like a totally like a dumb system. There's nothing. There's no tracking. There's no analytics. We have people asking us, oh, what about this? We're like, we actually don't know. Can't tell you, where people are coming from. We actually look at external services. There's a site called SimilarWeb that will show you, based on other information that they're collecting. But, with Presearch Engine, we're collecting nothing. And so we're just trying to basically, and it's very similar to how DuckDuckGo works. So, there's definitely, there's a business model there still, because you don't need to track people. You really don't need demographic information. All that stuff, it's nice to have from like an advertiser standpoint. But truthfully, the beauty of search is that, somebody is typing something in and you can match without storing it, without knowing anything about it, what your offer is.
So if someone's searching for a Ford F-150, it doesn't matter if they're a 55-year-old cowboy or if they're, a 24-year-old, kid in his 13th year of school. It doesn't really matter.
Ultimately, you're looking for a Ford F-150. You have transactional intent. That is super valuable to a marketer, and basically you can connect people with things that are similar to what they're looking for without having to invade their privacy. And that's how DuckDuckGo operates, and they're profitable. It's definitely a viable business model. For us, I think we've got a huge turbocharger on that model, because it's this token denominated ecosystem where you're actually not just not tracking people, you're actually rewarding them as well, and then kind of having this closed loop ecosystem that actually makes financial economic sense. So so it's definitely exciting. We've got more than 1 million registered users already, a couple million searches a day going through the platform. And really kind of, the more people that use it, the more economically viable the whole model becomes. The more, people like us in this movement have, a consumer kind of tool that we can use, be a marketing tool that we can use for any of our ventures. And then, a way to, as Sterlin said, break the habit. It is really about, making it easy for people to switch, and just, giving them access to the choice, because there are so many different resources out there that, like Minds, like DLive, you mentioned Kingsley earlier, he's launching another social media venture called Float, Flote. There's tons of different resources out there.
June 5th, right? It's right around the corner.
Yeah, man, it's exciting. But, when we all just kind of go to the status quo stuff and we don't know what's out there, then, our choices are being limited. And Google has these kind of vanilla search results that everybody basically gets the same stuff. And
it used to be a lot better. I mean, when you used to search stuff, so much stuff has been purged from the internet. Especially the stuff that they don't, like stuff I was searching for. Usually like different, whether it's Clinton body count type stuff or who knows. I mean, all that stuff gets magically purged from the internet. I put it on my phone the other day, but I don't have I forgot what the invite code was. I know that I think you posted like on one of Joby Weeks' links or something. So I don't know if you can give that out now or maybe offline. If somebody's watching and feels inclined to download it, do you want to do that now or offline?
You should do it. I mean, you've got a referral link. Everybody who's in there has a referral link, and you get.
Well, no, I've got the invite. So the invite code could just be the invite code for my own. So right now I'm on the
on that one. Sorry, that's so invite code for the mobile app. Yes, sorry. Tap TAP and AND HODL HODL, all one word, no space. Tap and HODL will get you in there. It's just an alpha version right now. We're basically testing out some voice search functionality.
Wait, so this is actually a search like within your phone. So you can say, hey, it's sort of like a Siri, but like, hey, Presearch, go to Pandora. Or
yeah, it's very similar to an assistant. So you can basically, there's the Presearch logo. You just basically tap it and hold it as you speak into it. And it's a way to you can search the web, but you can deep search into any of the different apps that you have on your phone. So, my friend Max Borders, you guys know, has a book called Social Singularity. So you could go, Presearch Amazon for social singularity, and it will run a voice search on the Amazon app if you have it installed, and pull up the results. You can basically do it there's about 85 different resources right now. But we're going to be adding ultimately hundreds, and we're getting ready to really do the push to all the different decentralization providers. So we're going to start adding them in. We wanted to kind of wait until we had enough of an audience where when we start to announce them, it actually can reach people. We're pretty pumped to start doing that and opening people's awareness up to all these different alternatives that are there.
Yeah, and a million people is definitely nothing to sneeze at. So I mean, congratulations on getting that start. I mean, everything has to start from one place. Because everyone's like, oh, these other companies aren't as big. I'm like, well, I was on Facebook in 2004. It wasn't very big in 2004. I'll tell you that much. And then now I got people like my grandma, getting offended at certain things that I say. Whether who knows about the police or military or something. So you should just get off Facebook. I'm like, hey, I was here first. So and yes, I should get off Facebook, as should everybody. So you are right about that. Grandma. So, but when
and there's a. I was just going to say, there's a challenge anyway to getting off of these mainstream gigantic social media platforms especially for people like me, who's an activist who wants to actively get off of these platforms because of all the data mining and stuff that we've already talked about. But when all of your followers are, even after I got Psychologic Anarchist, I had 50,000 followers, got booted from Facebook. I still have a ton of followers on SterlinLujan.com or Sterlin Lujan, and then I manage a bunch of pages to boot. So I'm also having to keep track of my Facebook just because there's so many people there, but I'm also trying to move on to Minds, of course, use Presearch more often. I post on Steemit regularly still, and I use and Minds.com, of course, I'm posting there. It's just really a real challenge to start migrating off these platforms when you have so many followers. Now, there are some people who I applaud because they were just like, screw it, I'm done, I'm getting off. Like Derek Bros just basically just quit, although he does come back and creep from time to time. But it's definitely worth keeping in mind that it's going to be a challenge getting other people off. Even the activists aren't willing to come off right away. But I think times are definitely changing. The more we have a push toward decentralization and the better the technology gets, because right now we're still in an embryonic phase in the crypto space, right? Most of the UI and the UX on these platforms simply isn't there. And when we talk about crypto specifically, like for instance, decentralized.
And for people that are listening to us, the UI, UX, basically that just means like the actual, layout of the site, isn't easy, or it's not, might not be intuitive for people to.
That's right. And the experience that a user has when they're using a platform. For instance, the decentralized cryptocurrency exchanges are going to be a beautiful, brilliant solution to some of these problems with the centralized crypto exchange, right? You're enveloped with fear in thinking about putting your cryptocurrency on a centralized exchange. They get hacked all the time. Billions of dollars flood out of everybody, all those exchange wallets into hackers' wallets because of the problems that they have on these platforms with revolving around security. But the decentralized platforms just aren't there yet, right? They're super slow. They usually, like on the BitSquare network, for example, the people who are doing trades have to be on there at the same time. There's not automated trades, or at least the automated trades are very slow. And then it's a ton of steps to get from point A to point B and to conduct a trade and those kind of things. So this is pretty much streamlined across the cryptocurrency industry right now. But things are improving on a regular basis. We're getting better and we're getting better and we're getting better. And we won't have to make as many sacrifices for centralization versus decentralization as we move into the future. But we absolutely have to. There was this quote I heard, you guys were talking about how it's we're looking at society in a 1984-ish type of way. So someone once told me that if George Orwell was still alive, he'd look like a pie-eyed optimist. 1984 would look like a pie-eyed optimist vision with as bad as things has gotten in terms of society. And really what it boils down to is centralization naturally leads to cronyism, because these companies, they grow so large, these tech companies, they get so large that they have no other choice but to work with governments. But then it gets worse, because then they get entangled in all the bureaucracy and the bullshit. And then phrases like Google's motto of "don't be evil" just turns into an ironic parody of itself.
Yeah, I actually, and for some reason we're having some problem with the Zoom audio coming through, and I just realized that there was another button I had to hit on YouTube. So we're having some problems with the YouTube audio right now. But yes, some of these things you just touched on. Especially with 1984. George Orwell's real name was Eric Blair, and Eric Blair was this big time like Fabian Society. Basically he was as part of like all this sort of master plan, and was trying to expose it. And I think he ended up either mysteriously dying right after that ended up happening. So it's just always funny how these things always end up working out. And I am flustered because I am trying to figure out why, for whatever reason, that the audio isn't going. It's going live when I'm talking, but I'm going to mess around with a few things. But sorry for kind of jumping over there. But I do want to let the people know that we do have a giveaway we're going to have at the end of this. And so right now only 5 people entered. So basically I'm giving away 5 prizes. So right now everyone is going to win. So let's just make sure we get a few more people entering in. You're going to text the code 7. The number is 71441, and then just text World Alternative Media for the whole thing, and then I will try getting the audio fixed, because all these text things. I'm looking at like 3 different screens right now trying to get things going. So appreciate you guys bearing with me, and we will have this back out from. We will have it back out on the full intact video in case we have any problems with this. But yeah, sorry if you guys want to continue, because we are in this 1984 world right now, and even if us. If we're still on these platforms, and how do we expect these other people who are not nearly as motivated as us to get off these platforms? Yeah. So if you guys want to maybe even get into like how would somebody advertise with you guys right now? Like maybe let's say I wanted to have crypto IRAs. Somebody searches crypto IRAs or how to get Bitcoin in my IRA. Could I use some of the Presearch tokens I have to then basically I guess, sort of like how like Google will rank you towards the top. Is that something similar where I can basically pay to advertise where someone types in crypto IRA, that I could hypothetically get up towards the top? And I just made a nice plug too. So just again, really a discreet plug as well. So
totally. Yeah, that is basically how it works. So when you do a search right now, you see there's like a kind of a page that comes up with a coin flip. So there's going to be an advertising opportunity there. So as you're kind of waiting for your search to be redirected, the ad can show up. And yeah, current rate is 4 impressions per pre-token. Current cost on a pre-token is about 5 cents. So it's pretty reasonable. And then yeah, we enable people to basically collect up to 8 tokens a day as they're searching as a user. So yeah, you can basically very soon we're opening up the 2nd generation of our ad platform that's going to enable everybody to do those. We're just doing some testing right now on the ad units themselves. And yeah, we're going to basically take kind of a page from the playbook from all the centralized entities. That's really the beauty of what we're able to do now. We don't need to build the infrastructure that they built. We can leverage it. We can use the actual channels, things like Facebook, YouTube, to build all these different alternatives. And then if we can make it so that there is that user experience and that user interface to be able to access not just these kind of new generation platforms, but also the legacy platforms, and that's kind of the premise of Presearch, that it can be very useful. So I mean, what would be kind of amazing would be a next generation social platform that enables you to aggregate and integrate with Minds, Flow, Facebook, and kind of pull them all into one UI. And they already exist. I mean, you've got things like Hootsuite, and there was another one that I had been using for Telegram and a few other channels. What's it called? Starts with an F. Franz, Franz. Z. So there's lots of opportunities already. What we kind of need is that killer app for social that enables us to wean ourselves off and still remain connected to our legacy networks while starting to build these new networks. So it's a work in progress. Things like this definitely help bring awareness to it. And I think the economic incentives are there with the crypto opportunity to actually make some of this stuff financially viable and to enable people to, pre-purchase basically, advertising credits, which is a way to boot some of these projects up. You can basically crowdfund things similar to Kickstarter, but with cryptocurrency. That's basically what we did with Presearch. So I think, yeah, the time is now, and there's a lot of really huge potential that's kind of sitting here, and we're not too far away from being able to realize it in a way that actually works with people's existing networks and workflows.
Awesome. And you were able to go on long enough for me to figure out whatever problem was going on between Zoom and Wirecast, so we did get that fixed as well. But yeah, we just have to be the ones to start taking change, be the ones to start taking charge right now, because if we're not willing to do it, I mean, who the hell is going to do this? And now, is there, for people out there who don't care about cryptocurrencies at all, or like, hey, they're all a scam, or who knows? I mean, can you maybe touch on, listen, even if you don't care about crypto at all, like you should really still care about what we're doing over here, because it's not really, I mean, you could honestly not know anything about Bitcoin or anything, and you could still see some value in what you guys are doing. So maybe if Sterlin wants to jump in and kind of talk about, like, because you are the crypto guy, and then maybe you tell people how, if you don't care about crypto, why you should care about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, sure. So I want to use an example that I think relates very closely to Presearch and what a bunch of other projects are using. So you guys remember when the Steemit platform first cropped up back a couple of years ago? I guess it was in, 2016 maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2015, 16. Well, when Steemit originally cropped up, it was, of course, it was a cryptocurrency platform. The idea was that you get onto the platform, you write some content, you make a post, and you get paid in cryptocurrency tokens. So one of the selling points of Steemit was that anybody, no matter who you are, no matter how much you care about crypto, could get onto this easy-to-use platform and type their content and then get paid for it. And the powerful idea here is that they could actually leverage the platform, and then because they're getting paid in it, it incentivizes them to learn about cryptocurrency. So Presearch works in that exact kind of way. People want to be able to search. It's nice to have a massive framework that allows them to go from point A to point B in a very streamlined fashion and to wield at different search engines very easily. But once they start getting paid as they do that, then they realize, oh, I can make a promotion. I can create an advertisement and get my product or my business or my service into people's minds, right? Bring awareness to that. So again, people are incentivized to learn about crypto. So having these platforms that give people that opportunity is extremely powerful and profound. And that's exactly what happened. You remember on Steemit, so, some girl made hundreds of thousands of dollars right off the bat from making a makeup tutorial video. This was almost a revelation for me. So many people got pissed. They're like, what is this girl doing making she don't even know anything about crypto. She made a makeup tutorial and made a whole bunch of money. She doesn't even know how to extract it from the site yet. But of course, she went and learned, and everybody started creating tutorials and videos on how to trade cryptos. So even if people don't want to learn,
she found a nice gentleman from Nigeria who's willing to help her out.
Right.
Just send me 0.01 Bitcoin, and I'll send you all of your Steemit back or something.
Right. So I guess the point is people are going to learn how to use crypto even if they don't like it at the beginning, simply because the platforms they're going to be using have other use cases or bits of utility. And having multiple utilities or use cases as a platform is what brings value to it, right? And if that value is automatically there, you're more than likely going to want to learn about crypto as well. And this is also discounting the fact that as we move forward, using crypto, trading crypto, and making sense of it is going to become easier anyway. It's already becoming easier. Even the hardware wallets that people use are becoming more user-friendly and more accessible. I remember when I first got my Ledger Nano S, which is a hardware wallet. Anybody can go to their site. It's ledger.com, I believe. But at first, I had to do a product update, a firmware update back, this was like 3 or 4 years ago. And when I went to do this update, I had to wipe my whole keys. And can you imagine? I had all this crypto on this hardware. I was like, I got to wipe my keys to do a firmware update. I was sitting there with my wife, Cecilia, and we were holding the keys that we had written down in my sloppy ass handwriting. And I'm sitting there shaking and dripping sweat because if I missed one word, I'm not going to get any of my crypto back. But of course, down the road, they solved that problem by not making people wipe their whole keys out in order just to do a simple firmware update. So this kind of tells you how far along we've come in terms of crypto and how much easier it's going to be used. People are going to be able to leverage it and use it. And, the same, and Presearch has one of the easiest to use user interfaces in terms of platforms right now that a lot of cryptocurrency and quasi-cryptocurrency platforms have. So we're really living an amazing time. It's beautiful to see the forward momentum and the progress in this space grow and develop.
Yeah, and you guys can get started right now for nothing. It doesn't cost you anything to get started on the platform. Basically, you can start using it. If you don't want to, if you still have to search Google every now and then, you can just hit a little, let me go over there right now and show the people right now what's going on, because apparently we weren't going live on YouTube when I thought we were. But let's say you want to use Google for whatever reason. So let's type in world population control, world alternative media. And if you want to use, and actually you can go straight to YouTube right here. Or let's say you want to use Google for whatever reason, you're getting a Google search result. You're getting paid $0.25 of a token. Boom, here we are over there. If you want to search YouTube, same thing. So let's just type in Wham. Josh Sigerson. Maybe we can start a conspiracy that he didn't really go to the right shot, that he's just in Vegas the whole time to get all the trolls out there to just mess with him some more. And speaking of which, he has actually been kicked off Facebook. I think he comes back on maybe tomorrow or so. He got a death threat, and then how dare he respond to a death threat in his very nice Canadian polite. Maybe you should go seek some help, because I know that I probably wouldn't have been as nice or polite, but for telling somebody to go seek some help after they tell you they're going to behead you, you get kicked off, and the person making the beheading threat doesn't get kicked off. So that's more of the 1984 world that we're living in. But people can get started. Super easy. I didn't get paid. There's no product placement. I'm not getting paid to do this. I just want to promote people who are out there doing good things, helping free the world, helping free humanity. I believe, I probably was on about a month ago, already earned close to 80 tokens. So I think I went on presearch.org, downloaded I forgot the exact. I think I created an account, and then I went over to the let's say like the Brave store, and then for the Brave store went on and or Brave extension store and downloaded the extension. And so right now, as if we're looking at this giveaway over here, we've only got, I think we still only have like 5 names in here. So everyone, so we will draw. No, I'm going to draw one winner right now, and then the so who's ever, let's see, hopefully this works. It's my first time doing this live on air right now, so we'll have one winner. Hopefully. See, okay, I think I got to view the reports. Okay, so I've got a phone number here. I'm going to go back in, go let the person know that they won. Then the other 4 people who were registered in before, you guys will win tokens as well. So this number over here, actually probably shouldn't play on that because maybe now somebody will go in there and try to troll them. So maybe that's just some more learning pains, I guess, in the future of what. But I just wanted to prove I wasn't out there, going and picking like myself or you guys for somebody for a win. That I've got a whole text-in opt-in. These will be weekly too. So the 5 people that opted in for before, maybe next week we'll have 20 or 30, or maybe we'll have 1,000, and we'll just keep going on and on and on. Sometimes we'll run it just for people who are watching live because I can manipulate that at certain times. But any other things you guys think that we missed, or or maybe even if people out there who might be skeptical of what you guys are doing, is there anything that other areas that you want to cover? And then maybe Colin can get going because I know he's busy, and then Sterlin can give us the IMF story that he was talking about from before. But what did I miss, or what should people know, or how should people get started, or what's the best way to find you guys and learn more?
Cool. Yeah, appreciate it, man. So yeah, presearch.org, create an account. We also have a Telegram community. It's t.me/presearch. I think that's one of the things that's really like a huge differentiator between your traditional kind of legacy platforms and these new ones, is that you can really connect with a lot of the people that lead these projects that you're using. You can actually be a part of the community, provide feedback, help, shape the future of the project, hold people accountable, all those things. It's, there's this opportunity to follow these different projects on Telegram and connect directly with those who are running them. So I would definitely invite people to check us out there. We've got a really great group of people with Presearch in particular. I know a few of them are watching this right now, and just want to say hi to them because they are such a motivating factor for doing this and making it work and honestly improving it. It's amazing, that we put stuff out there, and then the feedback we get, it's like, oh yeah, wow, we missed that, or hey, we don't know, we don't really have an opinion. What do you guys think about this? And getting their feedback. So you can use it. Everybody with Presearch does have a referral link, so they can invite other people. They get additional Presearch tokens when they join if they go in through your link. So if somebody goes in through Tim's link, they'll get 25 extra tokens when they join. Tim will get 25 tokens as well. And so that's huge, and helping us spread the word. That's really what's driven most of the growth. But I would definitely say take the next step as well. Join the Telegram communities for our project, plus any of these decentralized projects, and start shaping it. Help provide feedback and make it better. And we're kind of all building this together. That is the nature of these decentralized projects. We're not just doing this thing centrally and here it is. It's really about community, and it's about involving people who care about what you're doing in the process. So that's I guess my advice on how you can not just with Presearch but with anything, join them on Telegram or Slack or wherever they are, and be active.
Just don't join them on Facebook because screw those guys or their YouTube channels. But no, I'll let you get going because I don't want to hold you too long. I know you've got lots of taking on Google is a full-time job, so I'd rather have you going and doing that than talking to me. And Sterlin, I'm going to shoot the breeze for a tiny bit, but want to also hear his IMF story. So for people that don't know, Sterlin Lujan, former Bitcoin.com ambassador, A lot of people know him in the space, and basically, he's always out there globe trotting around, speaking at different conferences. And so some of the conferences that he has spoken at recently have been more of the they, them, those crowd of people that we don't really like. But anyways, but it is important to have our influence into that world as well. So people are like, why do you go to like a financial advisor conference? Well, I am a financial advisor, so that's why I'm at a financial advisor conference. But why are you at these conferences talking about Bitcoin? Well, you need somebody with a good perspective in there. I don't say infiltrating, but you need to not just have one side of the story, the Facebook global coin, Fed.gov coin side of the story. So if Sterlin wants, I'll let you kind of take it off and maybe tell us a little bit about your recent trip to Washington, D.C.
Sure. So I'm going to withhold some names here because it kind of got a little challenging and a little stressful. The reason I was there is because I was working with a company, and just for complete transparency for everybody watching, I'm no longer with this company. Like I said, I'm going to withhold the name of said company, but I will tell you the story of what happened. But the reason I went is because I was working for this company, and I was going there to help promote their business and help grow their business and do the things that I already do a whole lot of. And so I got to the IMF meeting, and I was actually surprised that I got a ticket to get in, because it's not easy to get into those kind of meetings. They're very insular. They're very particular about who they let go. So I was thinking maybe I'm not on some kind of government watch list, which would be surprising, honestly, but it's pretty interesting. I got into the
probably
meeting.
Be disappointing. Like Sterlin hasn't done enough to get on a
right. You mean I'm not on a list? Dang it!
Oh, your kids think of you.
What a huge fail. So anyway, I went to the meeting, of course, and was surrounded by bureaucrats, mainly a lot of people who work for the World Bank and a lot of people who work for the IMF, but also there were a handful of entrepreneurs there who were at different crypto companies, but nobody that's typically in the community that we're all involved in and who are more anarchistically or freedom-minded. And I want to share one particular story while I was there. So one night we were at an after party in one of the major hotels there in DC, and I sit next to, I believe it was a banker, some entrepreneur who did some work.
I'm guessing it wasn't the Trump resort in DC.
I actually did. The next night I actually did go to the Trump hotel, and actually just missed Trump being there by just a few. I was going to tell him just to free Ross Ulbricht. What are you doing? But anyway, missed him by just a few minutes. But this previous night was interesting because I hung out with a few high-level bankers, and then an entrepreneur who was doing work with the bankers in Africa. They were some kind of, I forget what it was. They were trying to bring more financial equality, the terms that they use into Africa anyway. And they were curious about me and what I was doing there in my background. So you guys know me pretty well. I don't withhold information about my background and who I was. I told them how I got into the space. I talked about possessing 500 pills of MDMA and 26 grams of cocaine, and that I was arrested for that. And then I went to trial, luckily got off on deferred adjudication probation. And as I was telling the story, the individuals seemed fine. They were just listening. They were listening really intently, and they were interested. Then I told them I became I focused on the libertarian movement, and that's how I got into crypto. And then I've been a historian of the cypherpunk movement, the whole 9 yards. And that was fine. They heard that. They responded. They seemed to react well. Well, then the very next day, one of my coworkers' friends, we were having dinner at a bar, and he looked at me and he kind of gave me this disparaging look as we were sitting there. I was talking about anarchism with somebody that was to my side, and this gentleman said, "You're not a real anarchist. Real anarchists don't talk about these ideas like this. You certainly don't share an MDMA story," like was starting to escalate the situation and raise his voice. And I said, well, let me just provide you my perspective of what I think and what I believe, just so we can make sure none of us jump to conclusions and have a miscommunication about what each other are talking about. He said, "No, I know what kind of person you are. You don't have to tell me anything." And then I said, "Well, are you going to actually let me talk to you at all? Are you interested in having my perspective? You weren't even there the day that I had this discussion, and all I did was tell my story." And he said, "I don't care. I don't want to hear anything from you. You're not an anarchist. You don't know what you're talking about." And it started to get heated, and he was of course, alcohol was involved in in this exchange. But I just said, fine, if you're not willing to entertain what I have to say or listen to me or even curious about it, then it's probably best if we just don't have this conversation. There's no point in both of us having our blood pressure get raised over this. And then anyway, that finally de-escalated and cooled down after everyone sort of shuffled out of there. Then the next day, the people that I was working with chastised me for that, saying that I don't need to tell people in these environments about my background. And I said, hold on a second. This is the package deal that you got when I signed up to work here. I am this kind of person. I've gone on stage in front of thousands of people and told this story. I'm not going to withhold my opinion in front of a few bureaucrats. Sorry, that's not going to happen. Anyway, so that turned into an argument. And anyway, it escalated. And as you can imagine, that relationship did not work out well going forward. And I'm no longer with that company. But
let's take a look at like what the crimes of these people that have been committed, in terms of, all the wars that they've led us into, all the, money printing that has basically made everybody despondent and poor, that are out there, all the economic
deal. Right, the deal that they made, the IMF made specifically to apprehend Julian Assange. If people have heard about that, it was part of their work. The reason they talked the embassy into letting him go, pretty sure.
And then you got to get into like the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, actually operates more like a bank, and then the World Bank operates more like a fund, and then the Federal Reserve isn't federal, it doesn't even reserve anything, and all this sounds like fucking crazy, but all of it is actually true. Like, which is like what the crazy part is, like when you really start like getting into all this stuff. And yeah, I mean, when I was like 24, 25, I ended up like basically mapping out the entire like worldwide financial system of this goes here, there, but the people 20 generations deep. And I ended up, this was back when I was, still like all paranoid about this stuff before I had a channel or anything. I never actually ended up publishing it, and I probably already forgot about a lot of this stuff now. But no, definitely, appreciate your guys' time today. I'm going to cut the live stream and say like what's up after this. But for the people that are watching right now on World Alternative Media, I do apologize that we weren't live for the first little bit of it. We'll get the full interview posted up later on today. I do see we now have 9 names now in the drawing, so I did just draw the other 4. And so we've got one winner that won 50 tokens. We've got the rest are all winning 10 tokens a piece, so we're giving 100 Minds tokens, and that's 100,000 impressions. So I mean, it's not for nothing. I mean, you can get some sort of meme or something out there, and boom, I guess the one person gets 50,000, and the other people get 50,000 spread out between them. But better than a kick in the nuts, better than nothing. And but the main reason why I want your email, the main reason why I want your information is not so I can sell your data. It's because eventually we're not going to be allowed on Facebook. We're not going to be allowed on YouTube. We're not going to be allowed on these platforms. It's good, but we need a way to tell you, hey, we're over here now, but the only way we can tell you we're over here is if we have your information. And right now, all the bad people already have your information. All the Googles and the YouTubes and the Apples and everyone wanting to screw you, they already have it. So just give your information to Josh and myself. There's no worse we're going to be able to do with your information than the people that already have it. But we want to let you know, when we're going live, when we're doing all this other stuff, down the road. But for right now, it's just a form of emergency communications. One of those acts you guys can do is going to presearch.org, start small. I'd also recommend the Brave browser as well. We got links for both of those down below as well. And then, you can even search, eventually graduate off of Google, go to the Presearch engine or go to DuckDuckGo if you're used to that. We don't have to, don't need to change everything. And maybe like this very last thing, if somebody is searching using Google through Presearch and Brave, it's probably my understanding that they could probably trace back IPs to something. If some super snoop wanted to figure out who you were, they probably could. But there probably are some benefits to doing it to Presearch than just doing Google altogether. So maybe we kind of maybe close out with what kind of privacy somebody has if they're using Google search through Presearch.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to protect people once they're on the actual Google domain. Mainly how we're doing it is just by educating people. We've been, producing videos, just talking about how all these other services are using your data so that people are informed. And then, we're basically trying to just make the alternatives that really do respect people's privacy, there at their fingertips. So, if you're going to continue using Google, if you're going to, use any of the other big services, it's, once you're on their domain, you are in their domain. So.
Okay, and then we have a question on here. Someone's, it sounds like they're, anti-crypto. This is fine. But if they wanted to sell their Presearch, is there any way for them to sell their Presearch right now? Or right now, is it just out there for, future advertisement use?
So we've got people kind of doing peer-to-peer sales, and we are preparing a peer-to-peer marketplace. So you can go to marketplace.presearch.org. If you are interested in selling, you can fill out the form there and kind of get into the waiting list for when we launch the actual full peer-to-peer functionality. There are external exchanges that some people utilize that would enable you to sell Presearch tokens for probably Bitcoin. But that's kind of outside of the scope. We're not really actively promoting those channels. So.
Okay, yeah, just because it did get brought up. I do appreciate your guys' time. Just want to stick out with me just a tiny bit. But we're cutting the live feed. We'll have the whole thing posted up later on today. So thank you guys for coming on the show today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the people that have opted in. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Why would anybody want to buy Bitcoin inside their IRA? I mean, the whole point of Bitcoin was to have peer-to-peer electronic cash. So why are you going to have a financial intermediary buy Bitcoin for you? Why don't you just cash out your 401k, cash out your IRA, cash out your retirement plan, and just buy Bitcoin on your own? Well, the reason for that is if somebody had January 1st, 2017, invested $100,000 into Bitcoin, and then 1 year later, they would have had, after taxes and the 10% penalty, they would have just under $900,000. So you would have turned $100,000 into close to $900,000. So you're obviously doing something right. However, there is a better way that they could have done it. What they could have done is they could have done a Roth conversion. With a Roth conversion, you save the 10% penalty, so you've got 10% more that could be invested into crypto. And the beauty of this is that now all of your gains are now forever tax-free. So you put the $100,000 in, and now, again, you're getting out of paying the 10% penalty, and now after even all my management fees, you now have a little over $1 million. We have all the exact specific numbers linked down, or should be on the screen right now. I don't have it memorized, but to me, $1 million sounds a little bit better than $900,000, and having tax-free gains forever sounds better than having $900,000 that now any appreciation or hopeful potential appreciation would then be subject to tax. And the other reason why we thought of this, or really the genesis of this, is I had heard a lot of people doing this, and I thought that, hey, there's got to be a better way. But the main reason is you've got a lot of people who the only money they have to invest is inside of their retirement accounts. A lot of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, even people who have $1 million IRAs, a lot of them don't have actual extra money to invest. They don't have rainy day funds. And the rainy day funds should be kept in actual safe, liquid, basically cash or really short-term treasury bills. It shouldn't be invested into Bitcoin. And so a lot of people just don't have that extra money to invest. And so taking a small percentage of your IRA or 401k and then, putting it into Bitcoin, if you know what you're doing and you understand the risk and you actually believe in this philosophically, is actually, I think, a good move to make. So again, if you're going to pull money out of your 401k to buy Bitcoin, you should talk to myself, because I think that the Roth IRA conversion is a much better way of doing things, and that is why somebody would want to consider having Bitcoin inside their IRA as opposed to cashing out their 401k and just buying it outright. Okay, well, that's great. You've got people who have IRAs and 401ks, and there's different things you can do or that I can do to help them out. But what about the person that has maybe a few $1 million of gains and they bought it on Coinbase or Kraken, or they got several millions of dollars of gains, and all of a sudden now you want to go buy your Lambo or buy a new house? I mean, there's no way you're going to be able to skirt around the IRS, because they're going to wonder, hey, how'd you get that $500,000 to buy a new house? Well, for those people, probably the best person to explain this is actually my friend Ernest Hancock, as he was giving me an introduction at Anarchapulco. Anyways, I'll let Ernie take it away, because we can also have advanced trust strategies for the people that have millions of dollars of gains. This is not just for people who are looking to invest parts of their IRAs or 401ks.
A good friend of mine, Tim Pachote, he's a financial advisor at Scottsdale. He'll be speaking at the TDV event. You'd be able to bring the crypto into the system. How would you be able to do a foundation, a trust, a this, a that, and so on? And Tim was at the party, and I go, Tim, what up? He's been spending months that he's getting ready to present to you guys Monday on how you can take your crypto and not pay capital gains on it, not have taxes on it. I'm going, man, you need to talk to Tim.
Ross Ulbricht is serving a double life sentence without parole for all nonviolent charges for creating a website. Please help free this peaceful man. Go to freeross.org and sign and share the petition.